In this very brief video, I'm going to show you how to lay out a repeating pattern using photocopies of your drawings. So let's just say that you've done some sketches like I've done here. Perhaps you have older artwork, or maybe they're doodles or just some other sketches that, that you have on hand and you didn't really know what you were doing with them at the time, but now you've decided you want to put them into a repeating pattern. And this is assuming that you want to work analog, not on the computer, but they're actually very related. So what I've done is I've drawn an 8x8 square, and I chose that size so that when my layout is finished, I'll be able to scan it into the computer very easily. And so what I'm going to do is, the first step is I took my drawings and I made photocopies. I made 2 sets of photocopies that I can cut up. And if you don't have a copier machine, you could also scan them in and then print them onto paper so that you have multiple copies. Then what I've done is I've cut them out just very quickly with scissors so that I have duplicates of every piece. And I'm going to just start laying out some ideas. I have no idea where this is going. I'm going to just start placing these where they seem to look good and see what I can make with this. So the first thing is to sort of get things into the middle of your design and just stay loose with it. Then you're going to start thinking about the edges around it. So that looks pretty good, but again, you have to be flexible. So whatever you have on the right-hand side must match up on the left-hand side. So that's the reason for having 2 sets of everything. So just by eye, you want to sort of match up. Anything bleeding on the left will appear on the right, or vice versa. And I'm going to just start placing my matching flower elements. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top of the design. So let's see what happened to that one. Here we go. So anything that's along the top, you're going to also want to have it matching on the bottom edge at exactly the same point. So let's just see what will fit here. So I'm going to move this one down here. And now I can start adjusting. You know, if I decide to move things up or down, as long as they're moved together, that's fine. And just rotate it till things look good. So even if it's just something like as little as a stem like that, you're going to want to have the matching pair, top and bottom. So once you get it to where you think it looks good, then you want to start putting things into place. So that looks pretty good to me. So you can use tape. I have both tape and I also have a glue stick. So it doesn't need to look pretty, it's just to hold it in place. So you can use tape like I'm doing here and make sure that this is close to the same spot. Or you can use a glue stick. So you notice that in the process of adjusting, I now have this leaf, for example, is bleeding off. So I actually need the same flower at this end. And let me find that one. So I'm going to match that up. So it's just got that tiny little piece, but if you don't include that, when you go to repeat your pattern, it's going to show up as a flat leaf down here. And the same with this one. So I'm going to find that companion piece. And then I'm just going to, by eye, get it as close as I can. So this works exceptionally well for any kind of hand drawings. Now I can do 2 things with this now. I can I can now transfer this design onto good watercolor paper. And look at my other video called How to Transfer Designs Onto Paper. And so from there, I would either use a light table or I'd use a transfer material to transfer this design onto a good paper that I could then paint with watercolor or gouache. Or the other thing I can do is scan this into the computer, so that way it has the feel of a hand-drawn design, but I could bring it into Photoshop and color it from there, and using airbrushing or filling, different kinds of coloring or brushing techniques. And this way it's going to save me time once I have it on the computer, or once I have it painted, and eventually I'm going to bring it onto the computer and put it into a precise, repeatable pattern. But this way I know it's going to save me a lot of time in touch-up, in that I won't have to rework things in Photoshop. Because even though, yes, Photoshop is magic and it can fix a lot of errors, it can also take hours and hours and hours of time to fix patterns, fix repeats, and things like that. So I do recommend working it out on paper before you spend the time rendering your artwork in color. I hope that helps.